she can tell you some bad news, but you'll feel just so great about it. And so that's what we call her, the Velvet Hammer. She's the one whenever we have something bad to deliver, sometimes she gets the tapped on the shoulder to go do it.
Did you just give her a nickname because you didn't want to call and give bad news, and she just became your arbiter of
that was a part of it, for sure.
Alan, Darby, Jacqueline, Martinez, this is the Buyer's Boardroom. Learn the most about who you are today and where you want to be after. Welcome, friends and family, to the first Buyer's Boardroom with Alaris Acquisitions. I'm your host, Rick Music, and with me, who really need no introductions at all, are Alan, Darby, and Jacqueline Martinez. And we're going to get into who they are and what they do here in a minute. But first, let's just talk about what a big day this is and what we have to cover. And we've got a lot to unpack throughout the course of this series. But today specifically, I think it's important for those of you that were kind enough to join us, for us to explain what it is that we're doing, who we are, how we've changed the conversation in the M&A landscape. We'll get into a little bit about who we are and what we do and how we met. And then we're going to talk about why this podcast was invented to begin with. But today we're going to whet your beak. We're going to give you all access to what it actually feels like to be in the boardroom with any number of our buyers. If you're a seller and you want to know what it feels like, that's what we're going to be getting into today. And two people to lead the conversation, probably most appropriately because they've done it so many times. I'm going to give you Alan, Darby. Alan.
Hello, Rick.
How are we changing the conversation? This is a big day.
Well, first thing, we're clearly the Brady Bunch. I didn't know that we did our virtual backgrounds against our advisor's best advice. I thought, well, hey, let's put some solid colors up there, but now we look like the Brady Bunch, but we're going to roll with it. So
before you go anywhere, you email us at boardroom@alarisacquisitions.com and give us your feedback if you don't like the colors. And if you do, let us know. I'm going to be plugging that the whole day.
And if you just don't like Alan's, that's fine to say too. Yeah.
We'll probably get a lot of hits on that one, Jacqueline. Okay, so how are we changing the game at Alaris? So the thing that we've done that's really unique is we have cataloged the buyer models in the industry. Like if you think about it, if you're ever thinking about transacting, Jacqueline, we get these conversations. They just don't know where to go, what to do. How do you find information? Well, we've spent years building that. Jacqueline, we've done close to 75, 80 acquisitions over in our collective careers, and we know the process works. But we've taken the time to go out into the marketplace and work with the best buyers in the country. I would say the buyers that have engaged Alaris are probably 80, maybe as high as 90% of all the acquisitions that are done. And so we've taken those buyer models and we've distilled them such that when anyone that's contemplating what we call a partnership, we don't use the word acquisition, Rick, because most times when a firm is trying to transact, they're not looking to get out of the business, they want to stay. So we call it a partnership opportunity. And we can tell them based on whatever they're looking for, what the buyer models are that closely align to their best outcome. And so we're a huge time saver for any firm that's coming into the process, given that we've spent so much time with each individual buyer. So every time a buyer engages us, we probably have 50 hours with them. Jacqueline, we go on site, we interview them, we take videos with them. So we're like this Google search for buyers. So that is different. To my knowledge, there's nothing else that exists in the industry.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
So if that's true, guys, and again, I've done a little traveling, and I think when you say you're an M&A, there's like a heart palpitation. People get a tightness in their chest when they say, I'm an M&A, or I help. People are pretty standoffish because they're protected on what they're going to give you. So if we represent 55 people to a seller, does that mean it's 55 times more pressure, or should this alleviate some of the pressure? Because people, I think, generally are pretty guarded.
I think that's right. I mean, we really... we know what's out there, what the market will support. I think that we bring that unbiased perspective. We're there to be your guide through the process, and based on what you want on the other side of the close, what needs you have that you're trying to fit within a buyer, we can help you navigate that. And we're really agnostic as to who you select. We really want the right outcome for you in the end, on the buyer side and the seller side.
If I'm driving along in my car and I'm listening to this and I want to raise my hand and ask a seller's question, are we agnostic to cost or price or how people get paid? Like, the people, well, what's in it for us? Like, how can
Oh,
we be
of course. Well,
agnostic?
no, we do this for free, Rick. No, no, no. So, no. So both the buyer and the seller pay us equally in the transaction.
So
I would
sticking with
add,
Alaris and
oh,
what we do great, and I want to stay on this because I think this is really, really important. So there's the front end of our process, and I have questions there, but on the back end of our process, I've met a lot of people that have told me that, yeah, I'm in M&A. Well, let's talk about that, because it's one of the few things I can carry on a conversation about, believe it or not. And then I'll come to find out that that person actually hands it off to somebody else and then is never part of the conversation ever again.
Yeah.
Where are we different there?
do you
Yeah.
mean
So
like a recruiter?
exactly.
Hey,
I
I'm
think
new
that's
to
what
this.
he's
You
talking
guys
about.
have been
Yeah.
doing it your whole lives. I'm still figuring it out. So if you're just listening, I'm more with you guys out there listening than I am with the two people on this show right now. I'm still trying to figure this out too. So I'm working with you. Please.
So yeah, what you just talked about, we generally call a recruiter, right, Jacqueline? So like
Yeah.
there are firms out there, and again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a different model where they're like a sourcing agent. So what their primary role is to identify someone who's thinking about transacting or leaving their current organization to join someone else. They maybe collect a little information on them, and they basically flip it over to a corporate development team at a buying entity, and then they step out of the conversation. No, we don't do that. So Jacqueline and I kind of handle two ends of the spectrum. So my time is more focused on the front end, kind of educating the sellers on the marketplace, what's out there, how deals are put together, the math, how to vet a partnership. And I lead the team at Alaris. There's 14 of us that bring them through really the point of the seller engagement where they are interacting with buyers and really discovering, who's their potential best fit. Once they've chosen a buyer, that's really where Jacqueline steps in, and I'll let her talk about that process.
Please.
Sure. Yeah. So my part of the process is more around the nuances around deal terms as the LOI is coming together, any deal structure that's put in place, helping describe that to
What
the
is an
seller.
LOI, Jacqueline?
LOI.
Hey, we're all learning. Let's
Yes.
not go acronym on this.
I like it. I like it. My bad.
What is an LOI?
What is an LOI, Rick?
A letter of intent is what I've learned.
He passed the first test.
Wow, my knees were buckling. Did you guys see that?
A letter of intent. So, right. So as business terms are coming together around when proceeds will be released, what needs to be true for each payment to be made, we're right there along both sides to really make sure that it's fair and it makes sense for the business that's there. And then my team really guides through the close as well. So through the negotiations of the purchase agreement, employment agreements, anything that will be in place, that we're a sounding board, because our goal really is to help everyone feel confident in the deal that's being put together, that these are market terms, that this is fair, this is a long-term partnership in most cases, and we want everyone to feel really, really great about it. So we're there to be a champion of the deal through the entire journey.
And it's also like helping them assimilate the due diligence requirements. That's always a tough one for firms who aren't used to producing this volume of data, this really granular data. So Jacqueline and the team, they help them understand what the requests are and how to put it together such that it's really ingestible for the buyer, as well as the transition preparation. That's a big lift to shepherd. Get all the client data together, paperwork if it's necessary. So she holds her hand across the finish line. So we, contrary to like the recruiter we were talking about, from the moment they have the introductory call with us to find out what this is all about to the moment they're signing their definitive documents, we're there the entire way.
So what I'm hearing, and this kind of warms me right up. And I guess if you're out there listening, I think what should resonate, Alaris is present from start to finish. We are ever present during the entire process, which is amazing. And you used arbiter of trust. I wrote it down. I'm going to use that again and again.
Arbiter of truth.
Truth. I'll scratch. So I wrote it down wrong. But throughout our process, being present, and again, from what I've seen, getting into a conversation like this, you've been building a practice, God knows, 15, 20, 30 years. It's yours. I mean, you've got your home family, you've got your work family, and you put blood, sweat, and tears. You've got employees under you. You're probably going to do this one time in your life, maybe maybe one or two. So you got to do it right. And to enter into this conversation without someone that's in the know, you want to be with a buyer that's done this a few times. I guess what gives me comfort, and I think what I want someone to hear is, having a safe place to say, number one, I got someone representing me, and you're going to hold my hand the whole way.
That's
That
right.
warms me right up. Being present and being neutral is amazing. And do we know anyone else that's providing this amount of service and backdrop on both sides on just education alone? Is there anybody else doing this?
Not that we're aware of. There could be in theory, but as we work with both buyers and sellers over a long period of time, we're frequently told they've never experienced anything quite like the way we handle a process. I was a financial advisor before, and I had my own practice. I did several acquisitions. I've sold my business, so I know what it's like both intellectually and emotionally to go through it.
We're going to have so much time to talk about who we are as a company and what our focus is. And we're going to talk about bumps in the road. We're going to talk about what's worked, what hasn't, the things that we're going to learn from. I think it was just important for those just joining us to learn, what they're getting into here. And I'm going to keep using the term all access to the boardroom. I'm going to keep using that because I think it unpacks a lot under one gigantic umbrella. But I think it's important though, guys, that this one time, we spent a little bit of time on you and Jacqueline. You went into a little bit about professionally where you come from, Alan, and I think that's important. But I think, when people are going to spend time with us, they also are going to look at the character behind the process. And I think it's important that people get to know us. I mean, they're going to get to know us a little bit throughout tuning in every week. We have a lot to discuss, but share with us a little bit. I guess what I'd like to know is how you guys met. I'd like to know, are you family people? What are your interests? Just keep it light, but let's unpack who we are a little bit.
Ladies first.
Thanks. Well, like Alan said, we worked together at United Capital. I was on their in-house M&A team. So the last 30 or so acquisitions prior to the sale to Goldman Sachs, and Alan sourced a majority of those, frankly. And so we worked hand in hand during that whole period.
Was it awesome, or was it not great to work with Alan?
I mean, no,
Depends on the day.
no, I mean, we're really good. We have a really good balance. I think we're very different, but we're aligned on core values, and I think we're the arbiter of truth on those things. I mean, we're always aligned on doing the right thing in the moment, regardless of what the agreement says, regardless of just being good people, and that's always connected us.
Well, so that's lots of fun what you just did there.
Yeah.
I got in my notes. There's this nickname that's kind of swirling in the industry.
Yeah. Velvet Hammer. Yeah.
I hear Hammer. I hear Velvet Hammer.
Yeah.
I want the world to know who the Hammer is. Can we, Alan? I'm going to let you answer this one.
She can tell you some bad news, but you'll feel just so great about it. So that's what we call her, the Velvet Hammer. She's the one whenever we have something bad to deliver, sometimes she gets tapped on the shoulder to go do it.
Did you just give her a nickname because you didn't want to call and give bad news, and she just became your arbiter of
that was a part of it for sure.
I guess I do get a little intense. Yeah.
I know you got kids. Give me a little bit about family, what you guys like to do for fun. Like when you unplug, I know you don't unplug, but let's just pretend for a moment you lived in a world where you did.
Yeah.
What do you do for fun?
I live out in Orange County. I have a husband. We'll be married 10 years this year. 2 little ones. So the negotiations after hours are endless as well, usually around screen time or play dates. But we have a lot of fun. Just traveling when we can, trying to enjoy the moment.
Good for you. Alan?
Yeah, so, well, I'm married. I'm 53. I've been married to my wife, Joanne, for this will be our 31st year. So we got married very, very young, obviously. Have 2 fantastic children, Trevor and Elena, who happen to work with us at Alaris. So I'm blessed in that regard. And what do I do for fun? So other than M&A, I call my friends and make fun of them. I send gifts that are world-class. I can actually talk in GIF language, if anybody knows what that means. I can carry on a full conversation. Beyond that, I love cooking. We do travel a lot. My wife and I probably try to take a trip at least once a quarter. So big travel buffs.
Quarter.
But other than
What's a
that,
quarter? It feels like every other week.
What was all that arbiter of truth talk?
see, she's calling me out already. Yeah, but they're workations, Hammer. They're workations. I go on trips, but I still take calls.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I interrupt you, Alan. I beg your pardon.
No, you're all good. I'm done. That's all I got.
They might want to hear about you, Rick.
I doubt it.
Tell me about the
No,
music.
I don't think they do.
Other than your last name is like Rick James Music.
My full name is Rick James Music, M-U-Z-I-K. My mother married Michael Music when I was 7. She was a bartender down in Florida, and he had a plan, moved to Ann Arbor. I can spend a year talking about my family, so I'm not going to do that. But I couldn't, the best life I can think of. I've got a beautiful wife, Jessica. Been married, I think, 11 years. Got 2 beautiful kids, Andrew and Colton. I'm a hockey dad. I coach their soccer team. I went to school for theater. I've done a lot of things. I've done a lot of jobs, and here I am doing this. And one day we'll talk about why I'm here. But that's not why we're here. We both come from great places, great family. I got a question for you, Jacqueline.
Yeah.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
I thought I'd be a lawyer. I was that unconventional child that watched like Matlock and Murder, She Wrote, and I always found it fascinating. So yeah, so I guess
you pretty much a lawyer now. What? You're pretty much like a lawyer now for all intents and purposes.
That's to me, you know, she's this close to being a lawyer.
And unofficially, I don't know. Maybe one day we'll see. Yeah.
Well,
just getting started.
Well, so are we, and that's a great transition. People are going to learn who we are, what makes us tick. They're going to give us comments. I'd like to see more of this. I'd like to see less of Alan. We're going to hear all of that throughout this journey. And I'm looking forward to it. And again, the email is boardroom@alarisacquisitions.com. We're going to be, during our mailbag session, we're going to take your questions live on the air. We want your feedback. Raise your hand. We'll keep it anonymous. So we will ask those questions that maybe you're not quite ready to answer yet because you're getting that tight chest feeling and I'm a little uncomfortable and I don't want my phone to ring off the hook. We're going to make it easy for you to raise your hand, and that's what we're doing here. I guess the question that I've been asking myself, well, the first one was why me, but the second one was why a podcast, guys? Whose idea was this? And I know it wasn't Jacqueline's.
No,
it was my idea. I have, you know, over the last year and a half, as we launched Alaris just two and a half years ago, after we sold United bought Goldman, I've been a guest on several podcasts. And I found them to be very helpful. You know, I've gotten a lot of good feedback from people who've listened to them, talking about how informative it was. And so Jacqueline and I were talking about, you know, we deal with so much irrational fear in the business from just not knowing what's going to happen. You know, what's the process like? Whether it's a valuation topic, a post LOI due diligence topic, you name it, or the freak out moment that everyone is going to have. You know, we thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if we could kind of give these firms who are contemplating a transaction, the seller in this scenario, what if we gave them like a peek behind the scenes? If the sellers could have a glimpse into that world, we think that their freak out moments would be less frequent and less severe. You know, because the reality is they're good people on both sides. You know, you just don't know one another, and we have to play that role of matchmaker. And so what we intend to do with this podcast is share real world stories, no names, of course, but, you know, pose scenarios, talk about what happened this week in our world as we're having these conversations. And in doing so, we think, you know, it'll demystify this really complex, scary process of selling your life's work, you know, to join someone else.
So we're doing okay on time. Let's try this out in real time. We're going to test drive this theory. So here we are. We're in it. Two-part question. I think it's going to apply to both of you. Hey, Alan, a path to partnership, you know, in a 3-minute answer, if you can, or a 2-minute answer. What does that look like? Followed by Jacqueline. And I'm going to use your word, Alan. You said everyone's going to freak out. I'm assuming you mean, do they freak out at the same time, or do they freak out at different times depending on where they are in the journey? Is there a defined, you're going to freak out here, or does everybody have their own private freak out? And I want Jacqueline to talk about the freakouts. So a path to partnership, Alan, give me an idea what that might look like if I'm a seller.
Typically it's a 5 to 7 month journey. You know, it can be shorter, it can go faster, but if we were having an introductory call with someone today, that's what I would tell them, you know, typically 5 to 7 months. And we understand that, you know, that's a big commitment to go through. So the way we run it at Alaris, we break it up into 4 phases that each one's about a month and a half or so. And they're like predetermined stop go points. And that works really well because we know in each phase, you're going to get a tremendous amount of value without having to necessarily commit to going all the way through. And we have a number of conversations each year, meaningful conversations, where a firm isn't quite sure that the timing is right, but they do want to know, what should I be thinking about if I'm going to transact in 2 years from now, 3 years from now? How should I be making changes in my business to maximize the value, that sort of thing. So we're quite comfortable taking them through.
I mean, real-time consulting, like, even though they're not transacting?
Of course. Yeah. No, look, I've done it that way for years. My personal belief is that everyone is going to transact, so it's just a matter of when. And if we work with them, deliver enough value when they're ready, we'll get the call. So that's 5 to 7 months is what I would tell you.
Okay. Freak out. Jacqueline, a hammer.
Yeah.
Does everyone have a private freak out? Does it happen all the time? Does it include you having freakouts? Can you talk to me about the freak out?
Yeah, for sure. Well, to Alan's point, it is a really long journey. So, I think if we think back to towards the end of 2021, that really tested how fast this could possibly go, because sellers were encouraged by the looming tax changes that never took effect, right? So it was a true test of like, how fast could this really go? And I think even 5 to 7 in the best cases is how fast. And the point of all of that is the longer that it takes, the more room there is for things to go bump in the night, for things to be read into that like may not necessarily be a problem, but like the trust, it all boils down to trust being broken or trust being there. And at those key milestones, we're signing the LOI, we're getting through due diligence. It's not the most glamorous part of the process. Then we're signing the purchase agreement. That's a huge step, because not only are you signing it, you're committed at that point, but you're also preparing to go to your all of your clients and tell them about the news. And as excited as you are, there's still that little bit of worry, like, what if someone doesn't come along with me? And so we're there for those moments, and we try to be proactive, but we're also typically that person that folks call when they're worried about it. What will it be like? And and to give our perspective.
Yeah, and everyone is going to have a freak out moment. Like it does come in different places, but I assure you, you're going to have it. But we're hopefully that constant rock of truth, like that North Star for both the buyer and the seller. Buyers have freak out moments too. When they're nearing a transaction, particularly those that are newer in the process. So yes, you will have the freak out moment, and we're accustomed to taking them. I've gotten calls at midnight on a Sunday evening, right before someone's asked to sign a document the next morning. And so, yeah, it's going to happen. We just don't know quite when it will.
Well, does anybody have anything anecdotal of something they saw in real time that they were like, ooh, we had to pull someone aside after that happened and said, okay, this isn't the end of the world, but we got to corral this, or something you've hit on the front end to say, look, we're going in and this and this and this are going to happen. This is what you need to be ready for. Do you have any stories in real time that you can speak on that?
Oh, I've got lots of stories, Rick. So
well, I only need one, and a relatively short one.
Yeah, well, okay. So this is not necessarily a freak out moment, but this is the kind of thing that we want to talk about on this show. I was talking to a guy today, and it was a smaller practice. He had probably close to $1 million or so of EBITDA, and he was telling me how his practice is going to be worth so much money. Because he was so profitable. He was like running 85% profit margins. Okay. And so naturally you would think, gosh, someone's going to be excited about buying this practice. But I had to inform him that, that's actually more problematic for a buyer than if you had 20% profit margins, because the buyer in that scenario is looking at that highly profitable practice thinking, what's wrong with this? What are they stripping out that is going to lead us to buying an asset that's going to implode because it can't support the client experience or service model that they have going into the future? It's things like that that we want to get on the table for these firms who are contemplating a transaction, so that it's not a surprise to them. When they get into the dialogue with a specific buyer, that data point, which I can tell them up day one, that's going to be something you're going to need to think about. If they didn't have us or someone like us in the middle of the conversation, they're going to be blown away when they get their offer, and that buying firm has layered in $200,000 of P&L expenses that weren't existing today. So that's a real world story today, Rick, of something that I encountered that is perfect topic to discuss on a show like this.
I believe we have a name for that practice. I've learned. Isn't that what we call a lifestyle practice?
Yeah.
That's a lifestyle practice, Rick.
Yeah.
That's great, man. You got LOI and lifestyle in one session.
Good stuff.
We should cut this short then.
I mean, my hope is that when folks decide to work with us down the road, either on either side, that they come in, we have this common language, LOI, lifestyle practice, we'll add to the list every week, but that it will really eliminate the friction in understanding. We'll have the opportunity to give, tangible ways to work through a given topic and frame things in the best light.
Yeah, and by the way, like as we do these shows, our intent is every episode we're going to have an expert, a buyer, a vendor, someone who's in M&A every day, doing transactions or involved with it, and they can give their real world experience and banter back and forth with us on any topic related to the subject.
Those of you, again, boardroom at alarisacquisitions.com. If you have any questions, it could be maybe you're a buyer, maybe you're a seller, maybe you don't know which, maybe you heard something about your practice and you didn't know the answer. You can certainly email us, or you can set up an introductory call with us to get a one-on-one private consultation on what some of this means. And we're happy to do that for you. We're here to educate, make sure you get the answers that you want. But again, send in your questions. If you want to remain anonymous, no problem. We will read them in real time. And it doesn't have to be on who our guest is going to be. We might be an episode or two behind. So don't worry about, I missed my opportunity. We'll get it out on air regardless. Obviously, if you want us to use your name, we will. And then if you say seller, your phone might ring off the hook. At least that's what I'm seeing out in the world when people are hesitant to raise their hand, but they want to. That's the thing, guys. If you're out there listening, I know you want to raise your hand, and we need to find a safe place to be able to do it without the fear of getting led down a primrose path, or a directive is we're going to get you to sell, because maybe selling isn't the best thing for you to do right now. Maybe you do need some consultation before that happens. And I think Alan and Jacqueline have done a fantastic job in their career bringing us to this point. And I think it's only going to get better at Alaris. So before we break, guys, do you have anything you want to close with?
No, I would, it's going to be fun. It's going to be real information, not puff pieces. We want to give you like the truth. I think one of the virtues that Jacqueline and I share together is just brutal transparency. And we want you to see it. And I think you're going to get a lot out of this series. You're going to enjoy it. We're fun. We have a lot of fun at Alaris. We interact very well with all the buyers and such. So I think it's the personalities that you're going to see and hear, in addition to the information you're going to get, are going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I love the work we do, and just excited to share all of it with our tens and tens of listeners.
Tens and counting.
Yeah.
And they are going to be brutally honest. Before we started today, they both made me change my shirt.
Yeah.
And that is a true story. And so I went and I changed it. And I think they were right, because they're the experts. So first of all, I'm very, very excited on behalf of Alan, Darby, Jacqueline, Martinez. My name is Rick Music. We are Alaris Acquisitions. This is the Buyer's Boardroom. This is our first episode, a first of many. This is a horribly exciting time. I think sky is the limit for what we're doing and what the industry is actually bringing. A lot of great information out there. This is the place to capture it. This is a safe place to capture that information and learn the most about who you are today and where you want to be after. So on behalf of Alaris Acquisitions, thank you for joining us today inside the Buyer's Boardroom. Remember, email us at boardroom@alarisacquisitions.com, and please join us for our next episode coming soon to a computer near you. Please bring your friends. We got plenty of room.